G'day guys, Dane here. Welcome back to Clarkey's NRL show. We've got a very special guest on the program. We've got NRL veteran Michael Flash Gordon. Flash, how we doing?
Mate, going very well. No complaints up here.
Very good to hear. Now, I'll start off by saying this, mate. As a game, rugby league, we have missed you, but you are back this weekend, which is very exciting. Now, I was wondering if you could just give us all a little quick health update on how you're feeling, and obviously you're fully recovered, and just how you're feeling overall.
Yeah, feeling great. I got the clearance from the specialist last Friday. I've been training the whole time. I just haven't been able to do contact. So fitness levels are. I've basically just done a 6-week pre-season, so I'm feeling as fit as I would be at the start of the season. So yeah, really looking forward to getting back out. And obviously the boys have been going through the ringer a bit lately, so it'd be nice just to get out and play with them instead of just sitting there watching all the time.
Absolutely. You touched on no contact there. I believe I read somewhere, Flash, that you actually could have died if you were to sustain some sort of contact during the period of this blood clot. How accurate was that?
Yeah, it was purely just because of the medication I was on.
Okay.
The specialist said if I copped a heavy knock to the head, it could be fatal. Obviously,
Wow.
that's worst case scenario, but it was obviously something we didn't really want to risk. So, as frustrating as it was, it's sort of one of those things you can't really do much about except go off the guidance of the experts. And then, she's pretty confident that it's all good, and I can just get the clot taken out at the end of the year. So.
Yeah, I think frustrating is a good way to describe it. You haven't featured since round 9, and I wanted to ask you, Flash, how tough has that been mentally with such a unique injury on the sideline?
It's a weird one to put your finger on because, like I said, physically, once the first couple of weeks we were stuffing around trying different things, and that was probably more frustrating because I could barely jog, I couldn't do much. And then once I saw the specialist, and I basically just had to do a 6-week course of medication, and the main thing she said was I can train at high intensity and do all that stuff and weights and everything. I just can't do contact. So I was literally, whenever the boys were training, I was just running up and down the sideline, just doing fitness. And it was frustrating because physically I felt really good. I just wasn't allowed to do anything, so that's probably why it was frustrating.
Yeah, frustrating, like you said, because you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but now you're outside in the light up against the storm this weekend, Flash. But I got to ask, you're in a bit of an unfamiliar position on the bench there. Have the coaching staff spoke to you and told you how they intend to utilise you from that position?
Yeah, ball playing front rower. It's one of them things because the last few weeks we've had some injuries mid-game to the backs, and it's not ideal having a back on the bench. But with me and AJ, and we could sort of, if there's any injuries in the backs or the halves, we can sort of swap around and fill in the spot and all that sort of thing. So I think it was just to cover all bases. It wasn't like I'm going to be coming on to play dummy half, although, if that ends up happening, then that's what happens. But
Yeah.
it's one of those things that's just, it's probably just sort of safeguarding them against the last few weeks sort of thing. They've had, some injuries in the backs and they haven't been able to cover it, so...
Yeah, absolutely. And you are obviously very versatile yourself, played fullback, centre and wing throughout your career. And you'll be able to come on and goal kick, which is something the Titans look to have been missing in previous weeks. Now, I've got to go to a sort of a hard-hitting question here, Flash, as it has plagued the headlines in recent days. Garth Brennan sacked, talk of relocation. Now, you're a senior player and a leader in this Titans squad. I wanted to ask sort of how have the boys responded to all that, and particularly the younger, less experienced heads in the group?
It's obviously never ideal when, a coach gets sacked or that sort of thing. The mood's been, obviously a bit of disbelief and probably just a bit of, the boys taking some accountability, thinking, it was probably their fault, not so much the coaches. But, we sort of come in and we had a meeting with Mal on the Monday, basically said, all right, this is, what we're doing. This is what's happened. Now it's, we've got 8 weeks left to, sort of start again. And pretty much like this 8 weeks is, this is big for a lot of players, whether it's, whether they want to be part of the club going forward. The club are adamant they're drawing a line in the sand, so you're either on board or you're not. And I think I think it's just basically come back to the players now. It's up to you. You either got to be a part of the club and want to make it go forward, or you'll get moved on basically. So it's one of those things, because the club's in such a good position now financially and set up off the field. It's basically down to the team now, and it's all about results. So that's the biggest thing they drove going forward.
Yeah, you went into a meeting with Meninga. I've got to ask, how important has he been to the team during this tough period?
Yeah, well, he's probably been really important to the club. It's one of those things where he hasn't had a lot to do with the team day-to-day sort of stuff, because obviously he's the Kangaroos coach, and I'm not sure if he's allowed to, but when he's around, and he still commands so much respect whenever you see him, and I think just having a figurehead like him at the club is only good for it.
Absolutely, and you said that he more or less told the players you need to decide whether you want to be a part of this club moving forward. And when we spoke earlier this year, Flash, you weren't able to confirm whether you're intending to play on in 2020 or retire at the end of 2019. So I wanted to ask, have you made any further decisions based around your future at this stage?
No, I haven't really. Actually, to be honest, I haven't even thought about it lately, just with all this, the injury and all that stuff. I've just really been worried about getting back on the field. At the moment, I have of playing on, but I still want to have a year of my junior team, that's West Coast Raiders. But at the same time, I wouldn't. I'd listen to anything out there, but I'm pretty comfortable with where I'm at the moment, and I'll just leave it at that for the moment.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask one further question, just if the injury or what's happening with the club played a decision in that, but by the sounds of what you've just said, it absolutely has. So I'll get you out of here on this one, Flash. One last question. This is a real popular one, and one that has a lot of value for the younger listeners. Now, Flash, you're obviously looked up to by a lot of kids. A lot of kids have dreams and aspirations of playing in the NRL one day. So if a youngster was to come up to you right now, Flash, and say, Mick, can I have a tip? What can I do to make the NRL and be just like you one day? What would you tell that youngster, for all the ones out there listening?
I would say there's many factors that go into it. There's obviously a bit of luck, but you need some skill and talent, and the biggest thing definitely would be hard work and dedication. You've got to make a lot of sacrifices over time. I've had to miss out on best friends' weddings and birthdays and stuff like that. So, the biggest thing I would always say is you got to enjoy it, and you got to have fun, because if I wasn't having fun, I would have retired a long time ago. But you got to enjoy it. But you've got to work hard and be willing to sacrifice.
Well, Flash, I've got my fingers crossed. Obviously, you can't see, but on screen, everyone would have just seen my fingers crossed. I am hoping you do play on in 2020. You are a great figure for our game on and off the field, an absolute gentleman, and I really do appreciate your time today. All the best for the rest of the season, and thanks again for coming on.
No worries, Clarkey. Thanks for having me.